Hello and welcome to the JCB Prize Tea. I'm Supriya Menon, and today I'm going to be talking to VJ James about VJ James, the writer, and his book Anticlock that has been nominated for the JCB Prize for Literature. James, before we begin, is there anything that you'd like to add to your introduction?
Okay, as everybody knows, my name is James. Okay, by profession, I am an engineer. And in addition to that, I primarily write in Malayalam. I have published 7 novels and short story collections. And now I'm being interviewed because my book Anticlock is shortlisted for JCB Prize. That's why.
Yeah, James, let me begin. You said you're working as an engineer in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. So, on one hand, you're this scientific, rational thinking man, and on the other, there is this creative writing side to you. How do they both go together?
Actually, that answer is very simple. No, even though you are an engineer, you are an artist. Daily, you will do lot many other things also. I have 2 hands, right hand as well as left hand. Sometimes for some activity, I will use my right hand. Sometimes the left hand also I will use. Sometimes both the hands also you may have to use. It's a practice. I don't find any differentiation between engineer profession and the writing because both of them actually they complement each other. That is what I feel. Sometimes my writing that was helped by the engineering background which I have. If you read
How
my
so?
books, you can understand it.
Now, you're saying your writing has been helped by your engineering background. Is it the discipline from the engineering background that you bring into your writing side that has helped you? Is it the logical bent of thinking? What is it?
Both, in the sense when you write a novel, actually you have to discipline yourself a lot because lot many number of characters will be there. There will be a central core theme, one thread will be going, and you have to bind all these characters very close to the central theme. Otherwise all these sub stories may get loosened. So in engineering, we do everything with the design. That design should be perfect. Perfection is and you have to finish it within such and such time. Especially in rocketry, you cannot bear any omission.
It's all about
100%
precision.
of precision and 100% perfection has to be there. Okay, sometimes that attitude may be there inside me, helping for making the novels as perfect as possible, because I am doing lot many number of editing actually. In my first book, Propading a book of Exodus, it took almost 12 years for me to complete because I have been redoing the editing, going on editing it, and almost 10 times I might have rewritten it by hand. Those times, typewriting was not possible, computer was not
Right.
available. So almost 430 pages by hand I have written. Again, I will cut it again, rewrite it like that. 10 times means more than 4,000 pages I have
So,
written with my hand.
okay, so with Anticlock, I'm thinking you might have typed it, or did you also write it by hand?
Initially, actually, it is easy for me to write, because now from letters come from within. The first draft, if I'm able to write with hand, I'll feel very comfortable. Then I can definitely use the computer and feed it there. Then editing will be easy. Nowadays, that is the advantage. If you're using the PC, you can edit it very well.
Absolutely. James, let me ask you, since we are on the topic of anti-clock and this whole conversation is about anti-clock, what was the inspiration behind the book? What led you to write anti-clock?
Actually, to me, actually, writing is not a fully pre-planned activity, because some inspiration may come uh, different ways. It may come. It could be sometimes an incident in which you are becoming part of, or sometimes it can be a site, or even a casual talks. Now we are discussing, we are talking each other. Sometimes some point which you talk, that also can trigger, and that also can lead to sometimes a story or a novel. In Anticlock, in the case, the thread was instilled in me even decades back, when I joined in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center as a scientist. Those times I was staying in a lodge near to Palayam. I hope you know the place Palayam. There is
Yes.
a famous church at Palayam. And near to the church, there was a coffin shop, which I happened to notice that time. Of course, it's a quite common thing that near to major churches there will be coffin shops, definitely. But the peculiarity of this particular coffin shop was it was having, in addition to the business of coffins, parallel to that, they were running another business also because they were lending TV, VCR, and video cassettes those times. Those times, TV was not that popular, and owning a TVR, owning a VCR, and watching movies also could be afforded by only by rich people.
Right.
So in that coffin shop, what I observed, it was a sort of contrast of life. That is what I felt. Because on the one side, you can see the darkness of death, and on the other side, the same shop, the
Yes.
colors and the celebration of the life, you're seeing it. I felt it as a replica of human life itself. Okay, that has become a catalyst for the writing of Anticlock, I must say. But that time, I have not attempted writing a novel. What I did is, because I was a beginner only, I only started writing short stories. So, because the coffee shop has excited me, I wrote a short story with the coffee shop as the background and sent it to a leading weekly, and they published this story. And immediately I got what excited me is I got a letter from the editor appreciating the story and encouraging me to continue writing because when I was a beginner, it was a real encouragement for me. I was actually boosted my confidence. And then that gave me the confidence that I can write good stories. That time, actually, Anticlock was not conceived as a novel.
Right.
In fact, I have written 6 novels before writing Anticlock as the novels. Then what I did is I revisited again the story because I always knew that there is a scope for developing it because with the insights I gained out of in my life, about death, and of course about time. While growing, no, you will get some insights because philosophically also you will have a travel, and because of my that or my thoughts about the life, death, and time that has changed totally. So I wanted to in fact I wanted to explore it actually. Anticlock was not a mere writing of a story. I was actually seeking the ultimate meaning of life or exploring it by writing Anticlock. That is what I did.
Is that why every chapter begins with a passage from the Bible? Because you're also exploring life. Is there some way that you're trying to connect it to the Bible as well?
No, because no Bible, why I have used, if you read the first chapter itself, the chapter starts with a passage from the Bible, and the continuation of the story is that the Henry was reading that passage. It's a
Yes.
habit of Henry reading passage every night before going to sleep. But one more thing I wanted to do because I have written 7 novels and so many short stories, and mostly I have used the Indian philosophy for because in addition, if you see, it's Indian philosophy which I have used mainly. So I wanted to switch over from that to a Christian philosophy also. What exactly is compassionate Christianity? The tenets of compassionate Christianity,
Right.
rather than we are getting involved in the peripheral rituals and all. There is something underlying there in the Christianity that I wanted to explore. And many people, after reading these those passages, they told me that they have gone back to Bible and read Bible because of the curiosity that was aroused due to the excerpts which we have given in the novel. So that way, it helped
Right.
the readers also. Yes.
So, how much research did you have to do for Henry's character? You said you saw this coffin shop so many years ago when you began your career. I don't know how much of it that you could remember when you were writing the novel recently, but how much research did you have to do about grave diggers, about coffin, shop owners, coffin makers? What went into the research for the book?
No, of course. During those times, even though I just noticed the coffin shop, to know what exactly the life of a coffin maker, I had to go to the coffin maker. Because now I visited coffin makers, their shops. I spent time with their. When you are inside a coffin shop, no, with coffins around you, it's an altogether it's a haunting feeling. I must say, because no, we never go inside a coffin shop because such a requirement will never come.
Absolutely.
And the way he does his work, what are all the different types of tools, the different types of woods which he uses, and the sizes, and what are the adornments he does on the coffin shop. All these things I wanted to learn from the coffin maker. So I spent time with the and then the coffin diggers also. I went to the cemetery. In fact, I spent time in the cemetery also.
Right.
And because you have seen that an thickener,
Yes.
where all the bones and the
The well
skulls
of
are put,
bones. Yes.
well of bones.
Yes.
So I had to get a direct experience of well of bones itself, because that ambience of the cemeteries was essential for the fulfillment of this particular novel. Even in my earlier days as a school student, I started my first standard at a school at Changanasheri near to the church, the part of the
Right.
church. So during interval, some of my friends used to go to the cemetery. So I also used to follow them. I have seen them climbing over this well of bones. So
Right.
once I also climbed there, and I was totally horrified. I thought I will fall down inside there. Those experiences, actually, from my own experience only, I have written
You've,
in the novel.
yeah, I've noticed
But
that passage. Yes.
yes, yes. And I personally feel that if you want to write something, and if you want to do justice to the writing, to the maximum extent, you have to experience it personally.
Okay.
While writing the book of Exodus, first novel, it is actually happening in an island, remote island in Cochin. Actually, I was born and brought up in the central Travancore. Cochin is far from me, but their accent of talk, their colloquial language, everything is I was unable to follow. So what I did is I visited that island many times during a period of many years. Several times I visited whenever I get vacation. I will go there because one of my friends also was there. I will stay. I will go to the persons, go to the innards of the village. I will talk to them. I will try to grab their customs, their beliefs, the way and their culture. So everything has to be absorbed personally. Then only you will be able to reproduce it in a justifiable manner. So that way I have done so much of research for Anticlock also. Then to know about the clocks. Actually,
Yes.
the character, yeah, Pandit, the character, he was not there when I wrote Anticlock originally. The name of the novel itself was different. In
Right.
between only, this character came, and he has become the central character. Anticlock itself has become the central character of this novel. Then I had to do some research in that area. And one of my friends was working in ISRO. His name also is James V.
Okay.
Thomas. Oh, he was having a passion towards old clocks. Wherever he finds some antique clocks, he will buy it. It may not be working,
Right.
but he will buy it. He'll bring it home and he will work on that. He'll make it work.
Like Pandit.
So many years as like Pandit. And so all the knowledge which I wanted to derive, I had to discuss with him. That German clock, all this came because of his association with him. And then, of course, I did research related to the earlier times when near dam was constructed, because no
Yes.
some incidences regarding that happening during that place also is there in the novel. So
Yes.
I went to near dams. I crossed the dam and went to the innards of the villages near to the border of Tamil Nadu, because I had to find some persons whether somebody is living there who was a child during the time of construction of the Naya Dam. So I succeeded in that. I could get acquainted with an elder person. From him, I could directly know what all sufferings they had undergone during the time of construction of the dam. At their house, his house was inundated. In fact, when the
Oh,
dam was opened, he was in fact crying that I could see my house under the water. In
right.
one day, from a prince I have become a pauper, he was telling, and still he's living in such a pauper life. So such researches I have done for the completion of this novel.
And all those characters have found their way into the novel as well, I must say, having read Anticlock before having this conversation with you. So that's interesting. I'd like to ask, if Pandit gave you the Anticlock and you were in possession of the Anticlock, what period of time in your life would you like to go back to?
It is not the period of time in my life. I would try to go back to the origin period, the time when the moment when the time started, universe started.
Wow. But I
Okay,
don't
okay.
know,
Because
I'm
now
not a
time
scientist.
actually, yeah, time actually, it's only a feeling actually. Time, we feel it as present, past, and future. But
Yes.
just think that you are dividing the time, 1 hour, 1 minute, half minute, 1 second, and again half second. You try to divide it to the maximum possible. Then you definitely will have to reach a stage where timelessness is there. There is no time. Zero time is there. But we are unable to experience that zero time. So my exploration or my I'm a seeker, whether I can go back to the time time where it's okay, timeless stage. That is my ultimate aim. When dealing with the time, I am looking whether a person is go back to the timeless stage. There is no present, no past, or no future. I think that aspect of also is explored in the novel Anticlock.
That's very spiritual, this quest for timelessness. I must say, if you find it, please tell us also. All of us who are running behind time, after time, trying to run ahead of time, if once you succeed in this quest for timelessness, please tell us as well. What?
Let me tell you one secret. If a
Yes.
person experiences timelessness, he will never reveal it.
Okay, maybe in your next book you can talk about it, like a sequel to the Anti-Clock, if that's something that you can think about. I wanted to also know, like, what were the challenges when you were working on such a novel like the Anti-Clock? What were the challenges that you encountered? It certainly wouldn't have been that easy as well.
Writing novel, any novel is a challenge because it's a time-consuming job. It demands a lot of patience, and you have to compromise with many celebrations, which others, my friends celebrate that time. I have to compromise with that and compromise with my sleep. These are all challenges which a person has to, because now, as an engineer, I have my official commitments. I have to spend that time
You have
there,
your day
then
job.
family commitments. Yes, yes. Then my family commitments, all these things will be there. So writing, in addition to that, you have to find time for writing. Especially novel writing means it will take years for the completion of a novel. And when you start a novel, no, and the feel that you have to spend so many years for completing this, that itself will deter you. And if possible, you want to avoid that. That
Right.
is why I used to say, uh, my writing is actually, as far as possible, I do not want to write. That is what I say. Not because that I don't like writing, but no, it is my passion. But I would like to keep away from writing as far as possible. But what the writing, what it does know, it will give you strong compulsion, and a strong urge will be created inside you, and you will have no go other than to write. That situation will come. Then you will automatically write. So I had to pass through so many. Okay, what I already explained what all things I had to undergo.
Right. What are you currently working on? Can you tell us a bit about your future projects as well?
Now, for me, writing is totally unpredictable thing. Now, even if I say that I am working on this and I will complete it within this month or this year, I know that it will not happen because I have from my own experiences so many times. I think I have already once personally I have talked to you. I think during the vacation time, no, when this vacation comes, Onam vacation or Christmas vacation comes, no, my family will go to their native place. That time I might think that I am getting almost 10 days. Nobody is there in the house. So what about taking 5 days leave so that I will get 9 days at least exclusively for writing. So I will take 1 week leave and I will sit in my house without going anywhere, even without opening my gate also. But I may not be able to write even a single sentence. After 1 week, sometimes I may go back to my office without writing anything. No, writing has to come for me, not for others. No, I won't say that all are like this. For me, it has to come from within. I am getting in touch with some other source from where only this writing is coming. Uh, During the time of writing, some ideas which come, no, those ideas I might not have ever thought of earlier. After some time I may sometimes how these ideas came, because now there's a different source of ideas or different source of writing. There's a power of letters or power of words, I would say. Some people may not agree with that, but that is the case with me.
Right. Lastly, I'd like to ask you that are you happy that more and more people are getting to read your books thanks to the translations, or are you worried that somewhere, the essence of the book may be lost in translation? A lot of writers who write in regional languages worry about the translations coming out sometimes. So, what is your take on your books getting translated into English and more people being able to read them?
Of course, when it is translated into English, more and more people are getting access to my works. That makes me happy only. Because recently, while browsing through the social media, Instagram and all, I happen to see that people are talking about my book. Because previous year, my book, first translation was published by Westland Books. That is Chora Shastra, the subtle science of thievery. How to become a good thief. That is the science. So that is published in the previous year. And I happened to see that people were talking about Chora Shastra, and some people were writing comments as their experience of reading Chora Shastra. Same way, Anticlock also people are discussing, and people are discussing about the present state of the Malayalam literature. That is, it is coming up like anything. That way also people are discussing. So it makes me happy only, because uh, writer always wants his book to be read by more and more people only. Then regarding the translation, the essence whether it is lost or not. In my case, actually, what happened is my books were translated by Ministry Anticlock, and three more books are going to come. All the
Yes.
four were translated by Ministry S only. So we had a very good rapport. Whenever she first translates, and she will do her own editing on that. After that, she will send it to me. Then I will go through it. Wherever, because even though I'm not that proficient in English, I can know where if some flavor is lost somewhere, whether this can be like this. I will give my suggestions, and if it can be incorporated, she will accept. Otherwise, she will sometimes say that it won't work in English, James. Okay, then I will accept. Like that, no, give and take process was there, cross interaction was there. So we tried to make the book as best as possible, and that is reflected in the book Anticlock and the coming books, Nidishwaran, the Tabaharam, and the book of Exodus. There also it will be reflected. And so I'm happy about the translation.
Right. I should not let you go without asking you this question. Who is your favorite literary figure? Since you're such an acclaimed writer and you're probably the favorite of many people, who is your favorite?
Actually, in Malayalam, when I started reading, I read almost all the writers in Malayalam, but I took as my mentor or guru. He was O.V. Vijayan. O.V. Vijayan's, because
Right.
Sakinde Idihasam, I have read more than 20 times those times. And those years, no, even youngsters, they were having a feel that if you write something, it should be like O.V. Vijayan. That way people thought. So he's my favorite, right? All-time favorite, I must say, in Malayalam.
Right. Thank you so much, James, for taking out the time to talk to me about Anti-Clock, about all the inspiration behind it, and all your future plans as well. I wish you all the very best, and I hope you win the prize, the grand prize, and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for your wishes. Okay, let the result be. We do not know anything about that. Uh, Okay, the best book, let the best book get the award. I wish all those who made it to shortlist all the best.
Thank you. Thank you, James.
Thank you.